Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning in to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. And of course, I am subbing in for the great Kevin Jackson while he's out in the world triggering lefties, triggering liberals, which he loves to do. And he sort of does it automatically because he's a black conservative. I mean, he just literally just has to show up to the party and the leftists start losing their mind. And like The Exorcist, the head starts spinning around 360 degrees. And I am subbing in for him in his stead, and I will be, trying to hold down the fort, sitting in the big boy chair, trying to bring news and politics and culture to you, just so that you guys know that no matter what Kevin is out there doing, that we are all here at the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, still hard at work trying to bring you everything that you need to know so that you can approach the world with clear eyes and a clear head. And I, of course, broadcast to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I'm free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. And I want to talk a little bit about something going on in everyday feminism. Of course, everyday feminism is the receptacle for everything that is terrible and awful and nasty and disgusting about modern American society. An American society where cultural Marxism, leftism, postmodernism has seeped its way into the universities, seeped its way into our culture, seeped its way into Hollywood, seeped its way into sports, seeped its way into psychology, sociology, everything that you can possibly imagine. And this is the goal. This is the end goal. Even though there are a lot of good-hearted people out there who just want to do good, get caught up in some bad ideas when they're young. They have parents who are leftists who are giving them hormone replacement therapy, who are just telling them it's a big free-for-all and that you do what you do what you want all the time. Kids know best. All that stuff, just be free spirit, and just make sure you do one thing. All you have to do in life, you can do anything you want in life. No right or wrong, no values whatsoever. But the one thing you do have to do is hate conservatives. And hate anyone that doesn't believe the same things that you do. Now, everyday feminism is a receptacle for everything that is terrible and awful about American society. And one of the things that I struggled with my weight throughout my life. I've spent a lot of time at the gym. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to manage it. I was not born one of those I wasn't born with skinny privilege, as the leftists might like to say, But I don't go around like hating skinny people. I don't go around hating skinny people. I realize that I have a specific sort of disadvantage. I've got a lot of advantages. I've got a good head on my shoulders. I understand things very well, but I wasn't born with like a Greek. I wasn't born looking like a Greek god. And there's just a lot of good reasons why someone might want to look like a Greek god. Muscles make you strong. Muscles make you able to do things. It's better to be muscular than to be flabby. Because when you approach life, when something happens, when you get into some sort of emergency, you are able to deal with it. If you are athletic, that's a good thing. Why is it a bad thing? Why is being athletic a bad thing? Why is not being fat a bad thing? This is what the feminists want you to think. They think if you hit the gym, you're implicitly saying that fat isn't as good as skinny. This is how far we've come. Basic, fundamental biological facts about our health are denied, are pushed to the side, are marginalized. So that someone who wants to eat nothing but Twinkies and McDonald's all day long can feel good about themselves. And that's really what leftism is about, unearned values. Money is a value. Money is the solid form that you can use to transfer the work that you did at work to getting groceries at the end of the day or buying a nice house. Money is the solid form of the time that you spent trying to make something in life. And what does leftism want to do with money? They want to take it from you and give it to someone else. They want unearned values. And being skinny and being fit is no different than that. You have to earn being healthy. You have to make good decisions. You have to make good decisions about your body. Now we have all this business about fat shaming. You can't shame someone who's fat. I don't want to shame anyone who's fat. I don't want them to feel bad. Look, honestly, there wouldn't be a fat shaming, there wouldn't be a body positivity movement, which is this movement that says that no matter how big you are, no matter how fat you are, if you're 500 pounds and totally unhealthy and are, you can't walk up a flight of stairs without hyperventilating. Hold on a minute. Give me a sec. That this is just as good as being able to shoot up the stairwell with like it's nothing. Being able to get from A to B, one of the most basic, fundamental, the first thing you learn how to do is to get from A to B. Walking. It's not that hard. You put one foot in front of the other. You can get off the couch. I did it. I was really overweight. I felt terrible about myself, not because, listen, there are basic fundamental, people are wired to be attracted to certain things. Most people are wired that way. People are wired to be attracted to health. On a strictly, purely anthropological level, a man wants to know that when he inseminates a woman, that the child is going to be cared for, not just physically by the mom when the baby is born, but he wants to know that the baby is being fed well, so that the baby comes out strong and has advantages in life. And I'm sorry, but for moms and for dads, you can't just go around treating your body like John Bonham's nervous system and then try to make us all feel positive about it. There's an article in Everyday Feminism. Like I said, it's the receptacle for everything terrible. And it says 3 reasons why you can't have body positivity without feminism. Now, this is just insane. I mean, to me, the whole body positivity movement is ridiculous. There's nothing positive about being fat. Name one thing that's positive about being fat, other than that you're attracted to that small portion of the population who has a fat fetish. Name one good thing about it. And you know what? I've got privilege. I've got cred when it comes to this because I was fat and I turned my life around. There's nothing positive about being fat. I'm not talking about a little extra weight, a little extra pudge or whatever. That's fine. That's good. I like that. I like a little extra, a little cushion for the pushing, if you know what I mean. But let's not pretend that being 500 pounds is in any way good for anything. Now, you have a right to do whatever you want with your body. I do believe that. But don't try to shove your idea about body positivity down my throat. You're not going to convince me that my time at the gym isn't valuable, that I don't feel good, that the endorphins don't get kicking. I like the way I look. I like the way I feel. The human body works a certain way. And if you abuse it, it will not work the way it's supposed to work. That is biology. That has nothing to do with fat shaming. That has nothing to do with hating fat people. But feminists, the feminists at Everyday Feminism, and this is most intersectional feminists, they want you to think that the only way that you can feel good about your body is if you're a feminist. Now, even a broken clock is right twice a day, because I think that they are right. I think feminism is so toxic. I think feminism is so cancerous that they reverse everything that is true and real about the world. That yes, body positivity is a feminist thing. You cannot be a body positive without a feminist. And when I say body positive, I don't mean that you feel good about yourself when you do something good for yourself, like go on a run or eat a good, wholesome meal. I'm talking about the body positivity, the movement that says that no matter how fat you are beautiful, or whatever. Everyone has to think that you are beautiful. And if you don't think that someone who is fat is beautiful, well, then you hate fat people. You are fat shaming. Now, only in a movement like feminism could something like body positivity come about. Because it reverses everything about biology that we know inside of our DNA. We know it. We know what we're attracted to. We know it doesn't come from a place of hate. But no, feminism says that your personal inclinations, your personal predilections are social constructs. You don't really find your girlfriend attractive. You don't really find athletic girls attractive. You don't really find normal-sized people attractive. That's just a social construct. That's the patriarchy telling you what you're supposed to think. And really, if left to your own devices, you would think that fat people are beautiful. And I keep having to clarify. When I say fat, I mean really fat. I mean out of control fat. We all know what I'm talking about. So don't be like, oh, I've got a few extra pounds. Stop saying that I'm, whatever. I've got a few extra pounds. But let's not turn our backs on biology. Remember, these are the same people that think that they can change a man into a woman and a woman into a man just by putting a bunch of hormones and chopping off some parts. Now, if my attraction to girls who can move around without hyperventilating is some sort of social construct, then I wouldn't necessarily bash the idea of social constructs. They keep people alive. We'll be right back.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Putting an end to identity politics.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
When somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired! You know, some owner's going to do that. He's going to say, that guy that disrespects our flag, he's fired. And that owner, they don't know it. They don't know it. They're friends of mine, many of them. They don't know. They'll be the most popular person for a week. They'll be the most popular person in this country because that's a total disrespect of our heritage. That's a total disrespect of everything that we stand for, okay? Everything that we stand for. And I know we have freedoms and we have freedom of choice and many, many different freedoms. But you know what? It's still totally disrespectful. And you know, when the NFL ratings are down massively, the NFL ratings are down massively. But you know what's hurting the game more than that? When people like yourselves turn on television and you see those people taking the knee when they're playing our great national anthem. The only thing you could do better is if you see it, even if it's one player, leave the stadium. I guarantee things will stop. Things will stop. Just pick up and leave. Pick up and leave. Not the same game anymore anyway. Now, one of the things we've done, and when I say we, it's us together, we protect religious liberty. Because we know that faith and family, not government and bureaucracy, are the true centers of American life.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning into the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. And of course, I am guest hosting for the day. This is Brett Segal, the disgruntled millennial, broadcasting to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I'm always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and of course, your patriarchy. That was, of course, Donald Trump speaking about the NFL anthem kneelers. You know, those fine Americans who are just protesting the awful, terrible place in which they live, the awful, terrible place in which they made millions and millions of dollars. Last time I checked, the NFL was pretty black. But no, there's institutional racism in America. So even if a black man becomes president, even if black men dominate sports, and rightfully so. I think may the best man win. I don't care what color you are. As long as you put on a good show and do all and are athletic enough, I don't care what color you are. Nobody does. Most of the people who watch football, they don't care either. Can you imagine the kind of slap in the face this is to half of America, to half of the people? I presume more than half of the people who actually watch football. But no, Trump says pick up and leave, and now Trump hates football. He declares nuclear war on football. And since the NFL is mainly black, that means he hates black people. That's the kind of reasoning that leftists do. Well, that's funny, though, because there's no logic to it. Because if you were going to actually make the statement that Trump is a racist and that he hates black people and that he's targeting the NFL, you sort of have to admit that NFL is disproportionately, blacks are disproportionately represented in football. Which, like I said, I'm totally fine with. I don't even care about football. I really don't care about football. I could give two flying you-know-whats about football. And about the football players. I don't care who's playing. I remember when I was a kid watching my uncles scream at the TV, and I just couldn't understand what was so important about what was going on TV, that they were screaming at the TV. But some people do get into it. You know, football fans are diehard fans. I mean, I've been to a bunch of games. You know, I go to the party. I watch the Super Bowl. You know, it's a fun day with friends. Even though everyone else is way more into it than I am, I can get into it. I'm not a stick in the mud. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, I hate football. I can't go to your football party. No, it's fun. I get it. I understand the draw. It's just not for me. But what I don't get is how these players can just literally slap their own country in the face. There's no NFL in Saudi Arabia. Now, these people want to talk about institutional racism. Why aren't they talking about the institutional racism in all the Muslim countries where there's no Jews allowed? Where Coptic Christians are enslaved and murdered. People's heads cut off. No, they say they're doing this for America. They're kneeling for America. But I thought America was a terrible, awful, racist place. No, they're kneeling for what they think America should be, which is basically communist Russia, where everyone is absolutely equal. You know, if these people really wanted equality, if these football players really wanted equality, why aren't they sending their big, fat paychecks into poor communities? No, I'm not talking about just a big donation that's barely a drop in the bucket for them. I mean a real donation that would make them less rich. A real donation that would put their own security at risk. Because that's basically what the policies that leftists support. Redistribution of wealth. They want to put your earnings at risk so that other people can get unearned value. So why aren't these football players putting their money where their mouth is? No. They're disrespecting the flag. They're disrespecting the anthem. And to add to compound the disrespect, they're saying that this is what America is all about. No, this is not what America is all about. What's insane is how removed from reality these people actually are. Because in their world, Trump's America looks something like this.
Well, I'll say thank goodness that Donald Trump done legalized white supremacy.
Ever since I joined the force, I've been dreaming of the day I could put the hurt on them racial and social minorities.
Yeah, I hear you. I done opened up a hefty can of whoop ass on 4 of them faggots just yesterday.
Haha, for what?
Nothing. They were just acting all gay and stuff. Those pants were so tight I could see his religion.
Well, what do we have here?
Well, God has just blessed us with a runaway negra. I do believe that man is driving while black.
Well, come on, Billy Joe, let's get him.
Put your hands outside the window, boy. Don't make me tell you twice now. Have your license and registration ready.
Can I help you, officer?
Oh, wait a minute, you ain't no man. You know why I pulled you over?
This nigga, of course I do, man. I'm driving while black. You see a black man driving down the road, and you think you can just pull him over without no due process and no judge and jury and taking away his constitutional rights, man? Yes, but, no. We mistook you for a jigaboo, okay? The law says you can't be driving while black, and you are clearly not a black man, so you're free to go. What you talking about, man? I am black. Everybody know the black and the berry, the sweet and the juice, and I'm as black as they come. Now that institutional racism is the law of the land, I could get in trouble for beating up on a white boy. Man, pick up that baton, beat me till I'm dead, or I'm gonna sue the city for discrimination. False alarm, Billy Ray. It's just Sean King again. My, that boy's about as confused as a fart in a fan factory. If you're tired of being that lame white guy in your brand new group of brothers, you need Rosetta Stoned Ebonics Translator. End confusion and miscommunication between you and your homies. Translate common phrases like
They done partied and is going to the crib.
which in English means
They finished partying and are now going home.
you can translate simple phrases like
She drinking milk even though she be drinking Coke.
which in English means
She is drinking milk even though she usually drinks Coke.
even complex phrases can't stump the Rosetta Stoned Ebonics Translator,
They didn't do nothing about nobody having no money or nothing like that.
which in English means
They didn't help anyone who has no money.
the Rosetta Stoned Ebonics Translator can even help you cap a sack in the hood,
I'm fitting to get a blunt.
which in English means
I am going to the convenience store to purchase a cheap cigar out of which I will smoke marijuana.
and with a little bit of practice, you'll impress all of your black friends with your fluent Ebonics. Trust me, they'll love it. Pre-order Rosetta Stoned Ebonics Translator by calling 1-800-I'm-STONED. That's 1-800-I'm-STONED.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal. I pronounce you. Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning in to the disgruntled millennial portion of the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. I am Brett Segal, otherwise known as the disgruntled millennial, broadcasting to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I am always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, patriarchy, and of course your white privilege. Today, I do want to talk a little bit about white privilege because it's one of these things it's one of these tropes that are going around that's just getting really, really irritating because the racism is written all over it. The left doesn't want you to make broad generalizations about Muslims or women or homosexuals or transgenders or anyone. But they are so ready and willing to make broad generalizations about cisgendered straight white men that it just makes your head spin how fast they change their story from one breath to the next, literally. Literally. And it's because that their intersectionality, their intersectional feminism is it's so circular and so dogmatic that ultimately to them it seems like a science. That's what it feels like to them. It's a science, you know? You have the hierarchy of needs, and then you have the hierarchy of victimhood. And these are facts of life to them. Just as sure as you breathe air, intersectionality is a fact of life to these people. And white privilege is the holy grail. It's the thing. It's white privilege is the idea that makes the entire thing tick. Without white privilege, the entire thing falls. The entire philosophy of intersectional feminism, or as I would call it, an anti-philosophy, the entire thing breaks down. Because if you don't have that common enemy at the top that's oppressing everybody else, well, then no one is victimized. There is no such thing as institutional victims. The whole philosophy comes crashing down. So they need white privilege. They need it. They need white privilege in order to make the entire philosophy tick. That's why when Hillary Clinton comes out and says, we have implicit bias and implicit race, this is why. What she is talking about is cisgendered, straight white men. That's what she's talking about.
So you get these strange leftist ladies who are, to me, it's just a bunch of virtue signaling, because I don't really know how anyone can truly believe this. I mean, when you walk in line, when you go into a store, into a convenience store, you don't skip ahead of the black people. If you're white, you don't have white privilege. They don't charge you less. When it's raining outside, it's not like it rains on only black people and then there's a ray of sunshine that comes gleaming in from the sky just to illuminate the white people on the street. No, it rains on everyone. But they need white privilege. They need white privilege so that white people, they need a common enemy. Now, the common enemy is a white. If the common enemy is white, well, doesn't that make the whole entire philosophy racist? No, because they have a loophole for that. They say that black people and brown people and minorities can't be racist. They don't have the power to be racist. That's where white privilege comes in. White privilege is the little power, the little invisible powers that white people have in society that other minorities and people of color don't have. So that's how they can get away with claiming that they're not racist when they make broad generalizations about white people. That's how they can get away with this rhetoric that is dividing everyone and basically turning white people into an enemy, to a natural enemy. Because if white people have invisible power over you, if you look at white people as just a bunch of whip crackers, you're going to dehumanize them. And that's one of the most awful things about racism, is dehumanizing the other race. How do they get away with that? They say, well, brown people can't be racist because they don't have the power. Racism equals prejudice plus power. Black people can be prejudiced, but they can't be racist. So Peggy McIntosh, a lady back in the 80s, she wrote down a list, and this goes to show you how out of touch the leftists are. She wrote a paper called White Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. In other words, white people carry around a bag of goodies. And when we need it, we pick out from the bag of goodies, and only white people have this bag of goodies. And this is what she writes this list. And it's just insane. I started reading this list, and it's just unbelievable how out of touch these people are. She says, these are examples of white privilege. I can, if I wish, arrange to be in the company of people of my race most of the time. Okay, first of all, what is she even talking about? You can arrange to be around whoever you want. It's a free country. If you want to be around people of your color, be around people of your color. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody is stopping you. And if black people want to get together and be around people of your color, nobody's stopping you. And notice the little racism in there? The little bits of racism. It's okay for black people to want to be around each other, but it's not okay for white people to want to be around each other. But somehow, black people have less access to being around other black people. Maybe it's a population thing. In Africa, in certain African countries, it would be harder for white people to be around other white people. So what? What's your point? No, this is an example of white privilege. This is white people grabbing from the bag of goodies that we have here in America. We can be around white people if we want to. Another one. She says, if I should need to move, I can be pretty sure of renting or purchasing a house in an area I can afford and in which I want to live. That is everyone. If you can afford it, if you have the right credit, then you can live anywhere. If you don't, you won't. And that is not based on race or color. That's based on your credit. That's based on your ability to pay. That's not white privilege. That's not racism. I don't dip in my bag of goodies and pull that one out. I don't live in the biggest house. I live in a pretty small house. Another one, she says, I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I'll not be followed or harassed. Okay, I live in a multi-ethnic neighborhood, and I've never, ever, ever one time witnessed anyone getting harassed. I've always lived in a multi-ethnic neighborhood, and I've never witnessed that happen one time. You would think that if it were such a problem that I would have seen it one time. Of course, she's bringing up anecdotes. Why shouldn't I bring up an anecdote? I bet she's never seen anyone get harassed. This is a doozy. This is really funny. I can talk with my mouth full and not have people put this down to my color. This lady's got some serious white guilt going on. Anyway, I'm Brett, the disgruntled millennial. We'll be right back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning in to the disgruntled millennial portion of the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. My name is Brett Segal, the disgruntled millennial, broadcasting to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I'm always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, white privilege, and patriarchy. You can also get me on Facebook, The Disgruntled Millennial. You can get me on Twitter at Shaq General. I love it when people hit me up on Facebook because we got a lot going on there. We give you the latest in news. We give you the latest in culture, just like Kevin's Black Sphere. We do it all with the conservative snark and charm that you have grown to love and respect about this show, the love and respect for this country that has made you a regular listener, and we appreciate that. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is also this whole business about Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sorry. Look, it's The Man Show. Look, I loved The Man Show. The Man Show was fun, but let's not pretend like leftists shouldn't be tossing Jimmy Kimmel under the bus right now and bringing out all the videos of the girls in bikinis jumping on trampolines, bringing out all the videos of him doing sexist and misogynistic things and showing us what a awful, terrible person Jimmy Kimmel is. But no, Jimmy Kimmel's a leftist, so he gets a pass. Just like Weiner, just like Clinton, Jimmy Kimmel gets a pass. Not only that, Jimmy Kimmel has used his stage, has used his spotlight to sort of promote the idea of the Affordable Care Act. Now, he has sort of this anecdotal experience where he had a son. I feel terrible about this, but he had a son who had a heart problem. He was born with a heart problem, and of course, the leftists like to use this one through no fault of his own. And thank goodness that Jimmy Kimmel is filthy stinking rich and can afford the best in doctors. But his idea is that he's going to come forth promoting the Obamacare, bashing conservatives for, wanting to repeal Obamacare, doing the exact thing that all the leftists do. Of course, he is a leftist. He does the exact thing that they've always done. They say, he wants my son, conservatives want my son to die. Conservatives want children to die. Conservatives think that all children who are born with a disease beyond their control should not have any care at all. That's just coming out of my mouth like that. It just sounds utterly insane. Forget the fact that they beg so many questions. Of course, we want children who have, by no fault of their own, have issues, have medical bills and a pre-existing condition. Of course, we want them to get medical care. In fact, socializing medicine and giving massive amounts of care to anyone, whether they need it or not, actually takes resources away from those kids. So there are arguments to be had on both sides. It's not just a one-size-fits-all like Jimmy Kimmel wants to pretend that it is. Because to him, it's either his way or the highway. Now, I've got some anecdotal experience too. I've actually been involved in several charities that do exactly that. They help children who are born with autism, who are born with cerebral palsy. Children who, by no fault of their own, were born at a disadvantage. I've seen in the flesh what human generosity looks like. In just a couple years, we've raised over $2 million. That's just for one small part of Florida, one city in Florida. $2 million. Now, I know it's not a lot, but that's just me. That's just me and my family. There's a couple fundraisers that we are involved in, but I've seen what generosity looks like in the flesh. And the way Jimmy Kimmel is coming out is saying, all children are going to be left, we're just going to send them down the river and hope for the best. Send the children down the river or just abort them. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's a leftist thing to do. It's funny how the same exact baby that Jimmy Kimmel is talking about, he probably would have supported terminating right up until the point of birth. If Hillary Clinton had it her way, that's what your abortion laws would look like. And there are a lot of people who still do that. No, but no, leftists are the ones that care about the children. They really care about the children. They want children to get health care. They want children to be taken care of. Well, I'm sorry, you could use your anecdotal evidence and I can use my anecdotal evidence, but the fact remains that you're not even discussing, Jimmy Kimmel, you're not even discussing the idea that maybe free market solutions would be better for those children. You won't even have it. No, you want to demonize anyone who doesn't support Obamacare. Jimmy Kimmel actually wants to punch the guy. Look, I don't think he actually wants to punch the guy. I think it was a joke. I don't think there's any violence going to happen. But you know what? We can stop talking about Donald Trump's divisive and argumentative and vitriolic rhetoric. We can stop talking about that. Because as far up as it goes on the leftist ladder, you see the same exact thing from the other side. Divisive, nasty rhetoric that's basically just meant to demonize the other side. I think a lot of us are guilty of it these days. A lot of us are guilty. I'm guilty of it. I mean, I happen to think leftism is based on an evil philosophy that has no place in American society. I think that if you want to have your perfect utopian communistic society where everyone is absolutely equal, everyone is just as tall, everyone is the same color, everyone is a perfect is androgynous, no difference between one person or the other, economically, physically, where every single disparity has been taken care of, you can go live there if you all want to, but don't mess with our great free society. Don't mess with it. It's great. We love it the way it is. We want to keep it that way. We want to conserve it. That's why we are called conservatives. We want to conserve it because it's good. Not because it's old, but because it's good. In fact, collectivism, egalitarianism is a pretty old idea in and of itself. A lot of people have been trying to do that over the years. It fails every single time. You want to go and create your own society somewhere else, don't do it here. I think it's really easy for Jimmy Kimmel to stand there and proselytize about health care when he is never going to have to worry about another health care day in his life. It's all just a bunch of virtue signaling. Virtue signaling. So he gets to go out there and feel like a great person who did something super duper awesome for everyone. Because now everyone's going to think that Republicans are bad. And that's a good thing. I mean, he just as easily could have made the exact opposite case. My son was going through a congenital heart disease or whatever it is that he was born with. And if it weren't for my big fat paycheck, a lot of people who have been hammered by Obamacare wouldn't be able to pay for it. Now, that's a good reason to repeal and replace. We need to get free market solutions into the. We need to unshackle the doctors. We need to unshackle the insurance companies so that they can offer competitive prices and competitive plans that are geared towards people in their specific pool. Do it for my son. Do it for my sick son. Unleash the free markets, please. If you don't unleash the free markets, then you hate children. See how it's done? We'll be right back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.